All right, let's talk more NFL with Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
NFL writer for The Athletic. Mike, you ever get tired of that, man? I know you're in hip-hop culture, bro. I know when you say your name, Mike Jones, how many times do people say, who?
It's I can't even count. But it's like every once in a while that Lamar clip resurfaces, and it's like the one day of the year that my kids think I'm cool. So I guess I'll take it.
So that was you, obviously, in the Lamar Jackson clip there, man. Hey, let's talk about what's going on in the NFL Week 6, man. We haven't kind of addressed the Steelers situation, the quarterback situation. Russell Wilson seems to be healthy again. Mike Tomlin said he will be the number 2. He's going to dress this week. Justin Fields has been solid all season long. What are you hearing about that situation in Pittsburgh? Justin Fields, the offense hasn't been scoring a lot, but Fields has been effective. Is there a possibility that Wilson takes over in Week 7?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see because, like you said, that offense has not been scoring a lot. Yes, that Justin Fields is looking efficient. He's doing a lot of good things. Hasn't turned the ball over a whole lot, but you got to have touchdown passes. And that's something that's been hard to come by for this offense. So I'm really interested in seeing how short the leash is once Russell Wilson is actually back. I would be surprised if we see him this game, but say they go out there the game after that and they're still not putting points on the board, then we might see Mike Tomlin make a switch and look for some explosiveness out of the veteran because, look, he probably still has some rust to knock off. But if it's another week of practice after this week right here, maybe it's something where he comes in a relief effort if things aren't going the way that they want him to.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Hey, you know what? They got to get some help on offense from the receiving core as well. I mean, Najee Harris, of course, the running back, got to get him going as well. But George Pickens, man, there's talk about his usage rate. He's wearing nose patches, nose guard that's not conducive to the NFL standards. He got fined for that or whatever. What's really happening with George Pickens right now? He doesn't seem happy. And they're talking about his usage rate. They want to keep him effective when he's in there. What's really happening with that wide receiver situation down there?
Well, this is a young guy that has got all the talent in the world, but still, I think, has some maturity issues. And obviously, look, like we said, they're not scoring a lot of touchdowns. There have not been him lighting up the scoreboard. And I think that, look, he very desperately wants to be involved and wants to be a guy. He looks at himself as a game changer. And if you're not getting the ball, you're not having those plays in the end zone, the opportunity, because look, all the production, that triggers incentives and things like that as well. So look, I think he's a little frustrated and wants to have the opportunity to make plays to help his team win games. So they've got to figure out how to do that. And, obviously, like I said, maturity and things like that. But once you're winning and you're involved, that really serves as the deodorant for all of the ills that might plague a young guy.
Davante Adams could help that team out. Davante Adams could help out a number of teams, the Jets as well, maybe the Saints down there or whatnot. How come we haven't heard anything about Davante this week? What's the latest with that, and who could be the front runner right now for his services?
Well, look, the Raiders won a whole lot for him, but the problem is they don't have a whole lot of leverage right now. I think that they're hoping that they can get, a second round pick and maybe some more after that. But if you understand that the guy doesn't want to be there and the team is shopping him, you're not going to just cough up premium picks. You're going to wait for the price to go down. You'll wait closer to the deadline when things are a little more desperate, and maybe the Raiders are more willing to come down on their asking price. But you do have a number of teams that he would be able to help. I very much am curious to see. At one point, the word was that he wanted to go to the Jets. Now that they have this, dysfunction raising its head again, just fired their coach. Do you really want to be a part of that, or is it something like a team that's a front runner like Baltimore? You mentioned Pittsburgh. We'll see. But again, right now they want a second round pick plus some, and a lot of teams are just figuring, hey, let's wait a little bit till this asking price comes a little more reasonably.
If you're the Jets, you almost say, why not? If it's kind of all in this season with Aaron Rodgers, you don't know how much longer you have with Aaron Rodgers, and Davante Adams is one of his favorite guys. Why not? I mean, Aaron Rodgers came out and said he doesn't have as much power as everybody thinks he does, but now with Todd Downing now calling the plays, they got a new head coach, as you mentioned, with Robert Saleh being fired and Hackett not out. How different do you think this offense will look with Downing calling plays with Aaron still being the quarterback?
Well, that's the thing that's going to be really interesting, because the reason why Nathaniel Hackett was here is because he is buddies with Aaron Rodgers and was going to run what Aaron Rodgers wanted. That's obviously not working. Aaron Rodgers is not looking great. Will Downey have a better feel for the game and a better way of putting them in position to succeed? I don't know. It's, a new situation for all of them. Rodgers, he is a guy who's seen and done it all, but we saw him get fooled a number of times last week by a really aggressive and creative defensive coordinator and Brian Flores. So it's not just on the play caller. Rodgers has got to be better. But look, if this offense is still sputtering, then yeah, maybe they will pick up the phone and say, fine, we'll give you whatever we want. We need another game changer opposite Garrett Wilson to try to help this offense get rolling.
Yeah, and once again, if the Jets win the game despite everything that's going on Monday night, they'll be in first place in the AFC East. I was talking before I had you on about the importance of this game for the Eagles against the Browns, and especially Nick Sirianni, who's on the hot seat right now, just 2 seasons after leading his team to the Super Bowl. If they lose against the Browns, how critical will it be in Philadelphia for the head coach?
Man, it's going to get really hot. I'm not saying that he's going to get fired after that, but that pressure is going to just magnify even more intensely. Because look, this is a team that's 1-4. They can't get right. They can't get their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, right. They've got injuries on their defense as well. So they're not playing up to standards. And if the Eagles can't beat that team, I mean, look, that would be a really, really bad look. I think that they are going to be able to get things together. They're going to have their wide receivers back. Their defense is still these young guys trying to grow into their roles and what Vic Fangio wants from them. But look, they looked awful against Tampa Bay, and Nick Sirianni said that his team wasn't prepared. So he's got to do a better job of stoking the sense of urgency, attention to detail, and positioning these guys to go out there and do their jobs regardless if you have a starter in a position or a backup in there. You've got to be more competitive. And look, you've got a quarterback you've invested heavily in. Jalen Hurts has got to be better, but there have been frictions with him and Nick Sirianni. They got to find a way to smooth things over and produce and get wins.
And that's a recipe for a head coach getting fired. I mean, if you just paid a franchise quarterback all that money and there's friction between the head coach and your star quarterback, I mean, that's not a good recipe, a bad recipe for disaster if you're the head coach.
No, it definitely is. And look, this is something that they have downplayed. There was talk about it last year, rumblings and everything, and they said that they were fine. But look, Brian Johnson was the offensive coordinator who had a really strong relationship with Jalen Hurts. Then he became the scapegoat, even though Nick Sirianni's offense. But Sirianni really struggled to kind of seem like to counterpunch once the defenses figured him out. So basically, he benched himself and brought in Kellen Moore, but we're still not seeing the explosiveness and the cohesion that you would have thought from this offense. So yes, Nick Sirianni's got to figure out how to get this thing right. Again, that relationship with Jalen Hurts is extremely important. And we'll see if he can, if the bye week helped them, figure out what was missing in their approaches.
You know who's figuring it out and getting it right? The rookie quarterbacks right now. I mean, Caleb Williams is starting to come into his own over the last couple of games. Bo Nix is looking better. I love that he went back and forth with his head coach on the sidelines. I love to see that rookie quarterback show that tenacity, but leading the pack is Jayden Daniels. He's just been incredible all season long. First of all, overall, man, what do you think of this group of quarterbacks, this group of play of quarterbacks? Because it's good to see all 3 of them playing well. The top couple of picks in the NFL draft, especially after what C.J. Stroud did last year.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on these guys, and, especially Caleb Williams. He was described as generational talent. I was disappointed with the approach that the Bears took out of the gates. It's like they put way too much on him. They just have him dropping back, throwing 30, 50 times a game. But in the last several weeks, they really seem to figure it out. They're running the ball more, using the play action, doing things to lighten the load on him. And he has steadily improved. He's coming off of his best game, this past week. And they have a chance to win 3 games in a row for the first time since in like almost 10 years, which is hard to believe. Yeah. But yes, you're exactly right. Jayden Daniels, Cliff Kingsbury, and Brian Johnson there, the work they've done with him, the way they started out with him really just short, quick passes, get the ball out of his hands, and as they've expanded the playbook throughout the season, as this has continued to progress, is just nothing short of impressive. He's accurate. He's making great decisions. He's picking his spots, knows when to run, knows when to throw, keeping teams off balance. It's pretty impressive to see. And look, it's like, the number 2 guy, once again, looks like he's the front runner for Rookie of the Year. But again, it's good to see Caleb Williams improving. Bo Nix, they're, on a little bit of a win streak right there. He's a competitor.
Yep.
Some people thought he had limitations, but he's got a fire and is not afraid to pull the trigger. So, yeah, we're seeing good things. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Drake Maye, because I do think that, look, Jacoby Brissett is a savvy veteran. They've got more than just quarterback issues there. So this could be a tough situation. You're throwing him in there to the Wolves with Houston and DeMeco Ryans' defense?
Yeah, that's
I have no idea.
As you're Gerard Mayo, why do that? Yeah.
Boy, you're seeing a rookie head coach who's a defensive-minded head coach who, this is his first time handling a rookie quarterback. This would not have been the week that I would put him in there. Maybe I'd have done it last week, or maybe wait another week. But we'll see what happens there, with Drake Maye.
One more question on Daniels, though. I mean, his success has been phenomenal so far. His team's success has been great as well. I mean, this is good, and it's good to see that the Washington franchise is doing something they haven't done since RG3's rookie season, to be quite honest with you, to have that excitement, that explosiveness. What about his game makes you think he can sustain this, though, throughout the rest of the season?
Well, the accuracy, because that shows good decision making, both by him, and it shows that his coaches understand how to put him in position for success. Because lots of times you'll see a rookie quarterback that struggles because his coaches don't know how to use him. And I think that's what happened with Bryce Young. But here you have a perfect blend of a coach who understands how to use him and a quarterback who fully understands his role. And he's doing a really good job of reading defenses, putting the ball in the right space, knowing when to pull it down and run. And so, normally maybe you have a couple hot games and then defenses get game film of you and you start struggling. We have not seen that. We've seen him continue to steady rise. Now, look, the second half of their season, I think they have 4 division games in like 5 weeks, something like that. So that will be a truth teller for them. But he's got a good foundation right now, and their defense is gradually improving. Their offensive line is improving, and so that's the trend that you want. That's all you can ask for, really.
Yeah, Ravens Commanders should be the game of the week in the NFL this week. Commanders obviously having a great season. Maybe the surprise of the NFL so far, Jayden Daniels having a great season. The surprise on the flip side, on the bad side, the Bengals 1-4 this season. The good thing about the Bengals being 1-4 this season is that their 4 losses are by a combined 15 points. I know they got to get the defense together, but is there anything that indicates that they can turn this thing around for you?
I think so, because, again, they've been in this situation before. They always start slow for whatever reason. This year, they didn't have their wide receivers in camp. There were contract disputes and things like that. And so there was, some work they had to do. Their offense, it seems like it's gotten their explosiveness back. You're exactly right about the defense. They've got to tighten things down. But when you're scoring 30 and 40 points a game, you have an opportunity. You just need 1 or 2 more stops. So if they can get that tweaked with their defense, then because they, again, have a number of divisional games coming up. I think the next 4 games they have are against teams that are very winnable games. So they can come out of this stretch, 4 games they play, and then they'll play the Ravens, and they have an opportunity to be right about 500, 4-5, 5-4, something like that. And then they'll be able to turn things around possibly if they can get hot on this stretch right here. The Giants, the Browns, Eagles, Raiders, that looks like winnable games, at least 3 or 4 right there. And then, you'll see what happens as you get the Ravens and then you go towards your bye and, they'll be in position to compete.
Mike Jones, do you give out your phone number too when you sing out your iconic phone number when you...
Not mine. I had to change it, so it's not the 281-330 anymore.
There it is, man. Always great having you, man. Great talking to you, man. Great job as always, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me. I'll see you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.